on that.
Great.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing really well. It's good. It's early in the morning.
Where do we start here? It's, first of all, doing good. Everything's okay?
Everything's fine. We making progress, moving along. Filled all our jobs at CMCF. That was good.
Everything you filled all the jobs, so you're up to quota now from where you want to be.
With the number of pens we have, we just about crashed them all. That was good.
Was the job force available out there? I mean, you got some good recruits.
What I did, the job force was out there. The pay was good, and the mobile offices made a difference.
It did make a difference.
Oh yes, we rocked and rolled.
You got a little bit of a reserve in case some people decided to quit or something, so you got some extra names there.
We do. We got to have some extra ones, and we're able to scan the ones we have and kind of skim off the cream.
When's the last time we could have said that in the state, though, as far as having adequate force as far as the corrections department?
Right, and that's just
a long time.
That's at CMCF, and we have about 27 vacancies left at SMCI. Mm-hmm. Now about 200 still at Parchment.
Oh, so you do have some good vacancies there.
I do, but we've been focused on these here, and we'll send all our resources now to all those little cities in North Mississippi around Parchment, and we'll load it up.
You want to make a pitch for what you've done as far as increasing the salaries?
Well, yes,
for those vacancies.
We did two things. One is we removed the high school diploma because we need all kind of people. We need muscle. We need, so we did that, and those guys started about $30,300 a month, and then in a year, and then in 6 months they go up to $31,800. And the high school diplomas and so forth, they start at $31,800, and with experience, any kind of experience or college degree, you're at $33,000. So that's good. So we got good pay, have good pay, and we really appreciate the governor, the legislature, the lieutenant governor, all providing that for us, and the personnel board. They do a great job for us.
Some medical benefits with that too, Commissioner?
Yes, and for the individual, it's free insurance. The health insurance is free, but then for the family, you have that option. You can pay for that and buy that. Then you have a really good retirement system, so that's really good. So this is a career job. You start at 18, and that way, start at 19, and you can you retire. At about 45, you're in good shape. You're fixed up.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about this because, and I'm not sure where the bills are, or if there are bills, or this is kind of in the funding as far as appropriations are concerned. But I know there's a lot of concern from people as far as the drug courts are concerned. I've heard so much over the last couple of 3 years about drug courts and what they're doing. Nobody can speak to this better than you can. So, your thoughts on drug courts in the state and the need for those?
Well, a drug court is almost could look at it like a safety net to keep you from getting to prison, because drug courts are about drugs and alcohol, and so you get addicted, and then you can't function, you can't hold a job, you just in a stupor most of the time, and so what happens is you have to keep on raising money to support your addiction, and as you raise money, then you don't have a job, so then you have to resort to stealing and to get money any way you can, so then you resort to crime. So then we're going to finally lose you because it's progressive. You get more and more crime, need more and more money, more and more to serve your addiction, and here comes along drug court. When you first commit these crimes, they're normally not going to be violent crimes. They're going to be crimes of stealing and so forth, and so they scoop you up and sentence you to drug court, which really what it means is it's interdiction. Yeah. They're holding you accountable, and if you don't do what they tell you in court, they hold prison over your head. And so that's a pretty good axe to hold over your head to get you straight. And then with a lot of mental health services they provide, and AA, Narcotics Anonymous, but then more extensive counseling to really turn you around and save you. And so it's really big. It's really important for that reason.
The chance that if you go into prison, and I'm not sure some of the terms on here are probably 5, 15, 20 years, sentences that have been given for drug violations.
Well, you can tag in there and get some habitual felons too, depending on the crimes you're committing. Whereas mom and dads try, but they can't really do it. It finally comes to the point that the court has to intervene, and they're saving families. They're saving, for the future for people who would normally just crash on out.
You know how many drug courts we have now in the state?
I don't know.
Or how many people are involved in the drug court system? I have no idea, but I know that the funding is needed.
Oh, yes, it's needed because you have to have the mental health component, because it's one thing to say, hey, I'm going to send you to prison, but the other part of drug court that's so effective is that it also provides for the intervention, but the drug treatment, the alcohol treatment, and without the treatment, you can't kick the habit. So you're addicted, so you got to break the addiction, and that's what the drug court does. It provides you all these services to get you treatment and get you help.
It's part of the game plan of any correction system. That's part of the equation to just to make a better a department long term, I would imagine.
It really is, and it keeps us from filling up our prison and costly beds and costly dollars, and prison is not the place to put a guy with an addiction that's not really a criminal. He's addicted. He could be a fine person, a good family. He needs help. Drug court gives you help, and that's when you need it most.
I'm wondering, is this the time to maybe cut budgets or not to give them the importance they need in our state, certainly with medical marijuana being approved in our state?
We all realize that addiction fills our prisons because it leads right on into crime. It's the gateway, the addiction, because you have to start stealing and robbing, then it goes with a gun, and then it goes to armed robbery, and then you're in prison and you wreck. Costs us a lot of money in the state of Mississippi, so why don't you just fix it on the front end?
That's a very good point. I don't know, and I would think you as a commissioner would validate this, that very seldom does somebody come in with a drug problem and they come out a lot better. Usually if they stay in prison 5 or 10 years, it's not going to be that much better coming out.
It wasn't. I can't say that now because we realize what makes you recidivate. It's because of the addiction that was never dealt with. And so we then are pushing really hard and heavy, but spending a lot of money on intervention in prison with our mental health program.
How do you handle that, though, when you get somebody comes in and they're sentenced? Is there a withdrawal? I mean, are they going to wind up in the hospital, or how do you do that in the first weeks and months they go by?
Well, what we've done, we just changed this. When you come into prison, you used to see just a medical person, LPN or something. Now it's an RN who is trained in mental health. And so they determine coming in, and we've been having 11% of the people that come into prison have an addiction, drug addiction, but we're missing them. The national average is about 19 or 20%. So we're missing half of them. That's why we moved up to an RN who's going to be interviewing people coming into prison. It won't be long till we start bringing people in. COVID's about to be behind us. We're about to get our vaccines. So it's going to all change. But the point is, if we have drug court, we don't have to worry about all that intake. We can fix that addiction, because that's an addiction that you're supplying a need that it's eating you up inside. You've stolen all the money you can from your mom and dad. You've done it, sold your cars, done everything else, and the drug court intervenes right there. You don't have to go to prison.
Is our system about the same as where you came from in Louisiana, or is it on the same par?
It is. It's all about the same, because addiction's everywhere in this country, and so that's those numbers I just gave you, that 19-20% is nationwide.
Violence up or down in the prison system? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about a lot of other. We talked about violence. When you took over as commissioner, we had just come through certainly in our lifetime, one of the most violent periods as far as the prisons are concerned. What's the status now?
Oh, we're cool. Everything's peaches but the can.
The commissioner says we cool, so there you go.
We're doing good. No, the violence at Parchment has dropped 52% in the last year.
That's good.
And so that's really good. The others a little bit, not quite as much, but we really focus so hard on Parchment and the kind of chaplains we have and the moral programs we have, and moral people don't cause crazy things to happen, so we're really moving for that.
Has your changes in what you are doing with gang members maybe helped a little bit on that?
It's helped a lot, because we got them spooked, and they had us spooked a little while, but when we hired that 87 probation parole officers and created those tactical teams, then we have Army, so we can control our population now pretty well. So we are able now to do the things we have to do to cut out the gangs, and we're working on it really hard. And it's important that we lock them up and protect the masses in the prison and get them for the stop the extortion. You know, I hate when some mom calls me and says she has to pay protection for her son. That's just not right. And we're not going to have that. Don't put up with it. And we chase every one of those down to find what is the real deal and put in the cell block who is causing all this chaos.
That's still going on as far as moving, transferring some gang members?
We moved two weeks ago, actually 3, and they went to Colorado, and we have some more in our sights, and so they better watch out.
When you integrate with that the open dialogue and communicating with the prisoners, which you've done, you learn a lot of different things, don't you?
Well, I've got in at least 1,000 letters. I have 3 people that's helping me do this now, and we read the letters and we answer them, and the ones that are advocating violence or somebody that's in need, suicide or something, we respond immediately. The point is the letters tell me what's happening in the prison.
Yeah.
Nobody can lie. I'm getting the truth. And so now say I'm getting the truth, sometimes they don't tell me right. But if you get enough of them, the averages are going to come out. And we know where we're having issues. Also, we have cameras now that's better, and so we're going to be able to target in on middle managers who are not doing the right kind of job and then start working on moving them.
March 16th, when the last cold front moves through, it gets pretty hot. I know you talked about air conditioning. As far as Parchment's concerned, where does that stand?
The bid is out.
Bid is out.
Yes, and it'll be in by the time it gets really hot. We have to have it installed. Yes, we do.
Now, this is throughout all the cells at Parchment, or just?
This is going to be in we're going to use probably 5 buildings. Five, they call them like Unit 29 and so forth. 5 of them, and we'll dump the air in the top, and it'll cool down to probably, we think, going to be about 78. That's a lot better than 98, and that's going to make it livable. It's not going to be like your house, but it's going to be cooler.
Man, from 98 to what you say, 78?
Yeah, that's the difference.
Jeez. How do you do that with the construction and everything, bringing all those people in? That's got to be a task in itself.
No, the prison's calming down, and you can go in now, and it's safer, and you can walk around in it. We don't have all that threats, and so it's a lot better. So we're gonna install that and put it in. We won't run ducts all in the prison. It's going to come in through the top and the roofs.
Did you? We're talking about any other correction systems in the state needing air conditioning beside Parchment?
No, the other 2 that we manage are air conditioned, and then the other prisons basically are.
They are already. How about the high def where the surveillance cameras?
Oh, that's cool. We can see who's doing what, when, and where, so that's pretty good. And
a mobile command or a command center position at each one of the correction centers?
See, we have that, but we did not have it all manned because the first thing, we were so short-staffed that we just had to do the basic guarding people. But now that we have these other people come in, because CMCF is full, and so we don't have enough pens, but we got all the ones we have are filled. That's basically covering it. SMCI is close, and so Parchment will get there because we made a lot of improvements. We hired 50 people last Saturday. That's how we did it. I mean, week after week. We only started February the 1st, February 15th, maybe, with getting our mobile offices. So we kicked that can on down the road real quick.
This is guards or just in different positions?
This is just correctional officers, and they work in different places. Now we can go back to having K9 and get our narcotics dogs, cell phone detection dog. Before we had no one to work the dog.
Commissioner Burl Cain's my guest. I'm hitting you cold with this number, so if you don't know it, I can understand. But how many people are released on a daily basis, total across the state?
Well, for the last year, very few.
Well, that was a good number. So, but
no, we release about 3,000 a year.
About 3,000 a year,
right?
Who complete their sentences and get out
for various and sundry reasons. Who get out?
Where are we as far as the parole board and all of that?
Well, we actually work real close with the parole board, and I'm going to have lunch with Mr. Pickett and the parole board today.
Is that right?
And so we did a lot about not paroling gang people. And so they bought it, and they don't. And so, why would you turn someone on the public that's violent in prison? Don't let him out. He's not ready to go. He didn't he's not ready for reentry. So they're working with us really close, and the governor's doing a good job with it, and encourage them to work with us, and they're doing it.
I know one of the things that you wanted to do as commissioner was bring back the moral rehabilitation to as much as you possibly could or can. And the last time I talked to you, you were well on track. What's the status of that?
Well, we have the 9 chapels plan, and what we're going to do is this Friday I have a meeting with the building folks, Mr. Cornbreck, and at 1 o'clock, and we're going to try to see how we can speed up because we were not following all the rules to go so fast. So had to slow down, but it's hard to slow down when you're doing God's work. And we have to have these churches because what we're doing is recreating the gangs. That sounds terrible, doesn't it?
Recreating the gangs?
Right, but you have to understand that we all are human beings who want to be in a group.
Yeah.
So we can say, okay, well, we're creating groups.
I got you. You got
it.
Turning them into apostles or disciples.
That's right.
A little bit better. That sounds a little bit better. What about the visitation?
Okay.
Where are we there?
We're really close. We will start giving vaccines this week. We have 3,518 vaccinations. So we'll be at CMCF and we'll be covering it. Mm-hmm. And so as soon as we get the second shot, this is going to be the Pfizer medicine. And we just get whatever comes. But look, Dr. Dobbs, the health department, the administration, the governor's office have worked really hard to keep these prisons safe and give us the tools we need to have. So it's good.
Are the employees being vaccinated also?
Already.
They are already vaccinated?
They are. And all our medical staff's already vaccinated.
So we're talking about now the prison population.
We are. When we get those vaccinated, then after the second shot, 2 weeks after the second shot, we can open up Vista.
Are you, in the few remaining moments we have here, are you satisfied with where we are, where you are? I know you're biting off a lot of different things, but are you satisfied where you are?
I'm not satisfied with the churches. I have to get these buildings built. It's incredibly important, and I'm satisfied that we're going to have an arts and crafts show this next year.
You got an arts and crafts show coming up?
I plan to have that at Parchment.
What is that about? I mean, my first thought was shafts, but I wouldn't want to go there. But what's the arts and crafts?
Well, here's what has to happen for me to have that. All these inmates better go to making hobby craft and get something done.
They can do that in some of the extracurricular activity there.
They can, and aside from when they're not working, they can do that. And then they have to have something to sell. We have to build our organization and clubs.
So they can actually, they can keep the money?
They can. They're going to have to pay some. They can't keep it all, but anyway, most of it.
Yeah. Well, they can buy cigarettes with it now, can't they?
Well, yes, and they're doing that big
How's
time.
that going, by the way?
We're selling about $100,000 in cigarettes a week.
Get out of here. Are you serious?
I am.
Okay, real quick before I let you go. It's always a pleasure having you. What about the rodeo? Where are we?
Well, see if I can do the arts and crafts show.
Yeah.
That's a precursor to what it's going to be to the rodeo.
It's like an entry to the rodeo.
If it works, the inmates behave, and if they're going to be small, we take another step.
So if you want a rodeo, you ride in on the arts and crafts.
I did that in Angola.
You're a very smart guy. Commissioner, it's always a pleasure, sir.
Thank you so much.